Okay, so you've probably seen those quizzes online, right? The ones that tell you, a 25-year-old, that you actually have the mental age of a 60-year-old, or maybe the other way around? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on those what's your mental age tests and figure out what they're really all about.
I mean, just for a second, forget the number on your driver's license. How old do you actually feel? Because, some days you might feel like this wise old soul, and other days you feel like a curious kid again. And that is exactly the idea we're going to dig into.
Right. So we're talking about how old you feel. It's all about the difference between the years you've lived and your inner vibe.
Okay, so let's break this down. On one hand, you've got your chronological age. That's super simple, right? It's the number of candles on your birthday cake. It's just a fact. But on the other hand, you have your mental age, and that's, well, it's more of a feeling, a vibe. It's really the lens you see the world through, and it's been shaped by your personality and all the unique stuff you've been through.
So that brings up a good question. What are these tests actually measuring? Let's get into the premise behind it all.
Okay, first things first, and this is super important. These online quizzes are not scientific diagnostic tools. No way. They're not measuring your IQ, they're not measuring your clinical maturity or anything like that. A better way to think about it is they're less like a microscope and more like a mirror, just reflecting a part of yourself back at you.
And really, this whole mental age thing is just a snapshot in time. It's a reflection of your personality, your experiences, everything up to this very moment. It is not some permanent label that you're stuck with for life.
All right, so let's actually pull back the curtain and look at the anatomy of a typical quiz. I mean, how do they figure you out anyway?
So when you get down to it, these quizzes are really just designed to poke at different parts of your personality. They're asking things to figure out your idea of fun or how you face a challenge. They're curious about your relationship with rules, how you solve problems, and even your vision for the future.
Okay, let's run through a quick example so you can see how this works. Picture this. It's a rainy day, you're stuck inside, all your plans are canceled. What do?
All right, are you option A? You immediately start grabbing every pillow and blanket you can find to build an absolutely epic fort for a cartoon marathon.
Or maybe you're more of a B. You think, hey, this is the perfect chance for some quiet time. You grab a book, maybe do a little journaling.
Or are you option C? You brew some tea, and you see this as the perfect opportunity to finally get the house clean and organized. You see how that works? Each one of those answers points to a totally different mindset.
Okay, so you've answered a bunch of questions just like that one, and you get your result. Now comes the really fun part. Let's decode those results and talk about the archetypes of age.
So depending on your answers, you'll probably fall into one of these archetypes. At the younger end of the scale, you might be the young explorer, just full of that unfiltered curiosity. Or maybe you're the vibrant dreamer, and your superpower is this incredibly expressive imagination. A little further along, you could be the thoughtful realist. You're all about awareness and emotional depth. Then you get to the old soul, who has this steady wisdom and a deep sense of compassion. And finally, there's the timeless sage. This is the person who has a perspective that goes way beyond the here and now. So just take a second. Which one of those feels a little bit like you?
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? I mean, whether you're a young explorer or a timeless sage, what does it actually mean?
Look, the most important thing to remember is this. Your result is not a life sentence. It is not a fixed label. It's really just a fun reflection of where you're at right now. Think of it as a chance for a little bit of self-discovery, and that's it.
There's a quote from the source material that I just love. It really sums up this whole idea perfectly. It says, "You're not just growing up, you're growing through." And that just hits the nail on the head, right? Growth isn't just about getting older. It's about moving through all of our experiences, learning from them, and evolving as we go.
So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. Just forget the label for a minute. What is your inner age, that mental vibe we've been talking about? What does it really say about you? And maybe more importantly, how can you use that little bit of insight to embrace every single part of your journey? That's something worth pondering. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.